Hey folks, is this on? I think this is on. Hello. Hello. Oh, whoops. Forgive me, I'm a little bit late. Let me tell Carl that I'm late. Live is now. There, Carl Hedlund. Just writing you. Well, good, we have that taken care of. Carl is here. Let's see, that's just you. We can talk privately, I guess. Did I ever show you the new microphone? I think I did. Oh, Lucas, you're here too. Hey, I'll start with greetings. Hello, everyone. Before getting into Japan trip and the interview and such, just quickly say that Carl and I we've been planning to do some cool recording goodness. I've been recording some stuff, and we have some kind of cover things that we're planning to do. But the whole busyness of ShamiCamp and preparations completely took out the creative spirit in me. However, that's all done, and suddenly I'm feeling this whoosh of potential. And we're going to make some changes. First and foremost, one, got a new microphone there. The Blueberry, I forgot what it's called, the Blue Jay, I think. I only did some brief tests on it, and it sounds really clean, very crisp and nice. But the main changes where did it go? Oh, where did it go? Oh, it's somewhere. That mixer, the board there, has been kind of crapping out. And a friend donated a PreSonus box thingy. However, that laptop, which is old as the hills, has Windows XP, and the PreSonus thing can't run Windows XP. And similarly, it really craps. When even running just one microphone on it, it'll kind of stutter. It'll kind of get caught up, or like too much lag and such. Often it works good, but like maybe 3 or 4 out of every 10 takes, it'll kind of hiccup, as it were. So we have to stop the recording and start over again. Kind of annoying when you're having a good thing going. But in any case, long story short, too late. I've recently found a website that's they're stocking all of computers and hardware from companies that have been kind of getting rid of all their old computers and hardware over the past year or two. So it's an i5 or i7, an i5 computer case and everything. They're selling for $150, and I've been looking into a i5 laptop that I was going to buy for $700. So $150 for that is incredible. And there's also a i7 one, same hardware as my current editing computer, for $400. So basically, I'm getting one of those that should be coming today. I'll be using that. Maybe I can plug in two microphones, because ideally, when recording, I would like to have one microphone right here and one right here to capture all those hajiki and uchi bits. So hopefully that'll go well. And when it does, I think this week or next week I'll start recording again. Then Carl and I can get back into new goodness, new GAM covers and such. I'm finishing a world kind of monsters like world EP, Monsters of Shamisen like world EP thing. Carl and I have that thing going, and then Kiju, the blonde-haired fellow who makes the LED itomaki and does the ripple skinning. If you're for Facebook friends, you may have seen we did a kind of almost dance music. I was doing the Shamisen, and he had kind of a organ keyboard thingy going, and boom, 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 and it surprisingly sounded really good. And I thought, what the hell? Let's make an album. So potentially 3 things going, maybe, maybe not. That subject is done. Let's see. Hey, Rachel. Good morning. Joel, Lucas, Ben, alcohol. I just popped open Omnipolo Pollo and J. Wakefield Brush Imperial Stout with vanilla, chocolate, and oh my goodness, that sounds like breakfast. Wow, that really sounds intense in a good way, I guess. Things like that, boy, I usually feel like I just need like one shot because there's so much flavor. Boy, speaking of lack of flavor, I just came back from Japan. Nothing to do with, not food-wise, but boy, it was hard to get a good, decent cup of coffee and beer. I mean, nothing wrong with Asahi or Kirin or such, but a decent ale or something is really hard to find. However, in Tokyo, my friend from Scotland, we went to a place called the Hub, which is kind of a pub place, and they have their own Hub ale, and nice, no bubbles, room temperature-ish. Nice tall pint of that. Oh, that was a welcome respite. Thanks for the congrats. Let's see. Yeah, well, David Hughes really showed me. David Hughes from Australia. He hooked me up with some good green beans. Yeah, man. I was so impressed with that. I mean, I never heard of coffee grown in Australia before. Not that it can't be done. In fact, in California, coffee is starting to be grown as of very recently. But it's like, wow, the flavor was very unique and good, for that matter. Some good green. Let's see. Okay, so that was about recording, upcoming recording stuff, which is good. Japan Times. Wow, that was intense. Really good stuff. It was great seeing Rachel there, who's here right now. We had a good time, and we've been discussing. Scott, speaking of which, I sent you a message on your Bachido Facebook thing. Check it out. We're planning to have ShamiCamp in Australia. Why? I mean, what's changed? Why do that now? We were fortunately able to receive grant funding in Japan for the Japan one, and it turns out the organization that does the grant stuff has a branch in Sydney. So possibly it's possible to get funding for an Australian camp. So hopefully, thinking maybe December 2018. We'll see. But the camp really went well. As I might have said or something, there's always been. I mean, up until this camp, I thought. No, wait. Let me start that over again. The whole goal of ShamiCamp was to bring beginners and intermediate advanced people together and, touting that it's something everyone can play together and learn something. However, that's been so difficult. Either someone's bored or someone's really confused. Not necessarily, but that's the feeling I was getting. So much so that by the last camp, up until this past one, I was thinking it's impossible to have, everyone satisfied and satiated. Which is why the Japan camp was promoted as for intermediates, kind of ranging for intermediates. Beginners are welcome, and advanced are welcome, but it's primarily going to be for intermediate level. However, we changed it. Let's see. I changed the format. Instead of having each instructor lead a 2-hour class, it was going to be based on techniques, because we all need to improve our techniques. But just only 10 minutes or so of technique discussion, followed with 40 minutes of practice and mini-song, learning a song with notation that everyone can play as a group, with 3 separate parts, bass, harmony, and lead part, so everyone can have a richer experience by playing together. And I was surprised that everyone did an amazing job. Even people who only had a very little experience, like Rachel. Of course, Rachel's a special case because she has prior experiences and really go get him sort of person. But even others who had quite little experience just followed along quite well. So this is a real, very inspiring and motivating to actually bring this kind of format to different places around the world. Whereas before I was thinking this might be the last camp, in a way. But yeah, as life has it. Let's see. That brings us to something else, but let me just check. I'm really... how do you plan to grow the Shamisen community in an English-speaking world? What do you mean by that? The Shamisen, as Carl says right there, people need to start teaching locally, because he should. Now that Andreas, I believe in Switzerland, he's starting a Shamisen group, bring people together. Alex where is he? Melbourne. He's starting a Shamisen, trying to get a Minyo group started. What's his name? Bruno in Argentina. He's got a Shamisen kind of group together. That's basically it. Just as I said to Alex recently, just go out there and just start playing, whether it's for friends or on the street, live, open mic, whatever. Just kind of get out there and show it to people. And if you have one person who's interested and will get together, you're in Utah, and we'll get together. Oh, interesting. A friend or whatever will find you, get together, and if you guys play regularly, that's like doubles, triples, quadruples the motivation just to have a friend to play with. And then you guys start playing out in the park or whatever, get another person, and that's really how it happens now. Because now, in English-speaking world, there's so much instruction. Thanks to Bachido. Thank you, Kyle. There's so much instruction and good stuff, easy to find online. So it's really just getting people aware of the instrument now. That's the bottleneck, I would say, because now there's access to shamisen and instruction is totally good. Joshua, do you know what's her name? Conical Ford. She's a koto player in Utah and has been wanting to get a shamisen group kind of started. We talked a little bit about that. Check her out, because she does have shamisen and wants to get something going. So, yeah. Kyle. Let's see. Joshua Molina. Hi, couldn't send me some shamisen plans. I'm building one, but I need to know neck, scale length, breakpoints from the neck, body. Check out, Joshua Molina, check out my book, Shamisen of Japan. It has everything, literally everything you need to build the breakpoints for if you're making a Mitsuri, the three-piece neck, Tenjin, Itomaki, kind of everything. Available both on Amazon and at Bachido.com. Well worth a check out if you're building your own. Check that out. Carl, no one has walked up to me while I wear my Bachido hoodie. I'm sad. Me neither when I wear it. For some reason, I don't know why, but I get a little embarrassed wearing my own promotion, I guess, or so. So maybe I walk fast or scowl as I walk or something, but people don't talk to me. Maybe I have to actually carry the shamisen. Let's see. Oh, Johnny, new Shabo model. It's going to be made, I think the reason why it's so expensive. Oops. Note 60. Sorry. Yes, new Shabo model. The maker is using red oak or walnut. He's using some kind of new wood for the neck. I don't think there's not much is different from what I know now. The ones that I saw in Japan weren't that different. However, like, it's so popular, it's been selling a lot, so I think it's taking more time for the cost that he's selling it for. Maybe not making enough to be worth like probably 24/7 just building them. So whatever changes he's making, he's also increasing the price, which is kind of a shame. But yeah, that's all I know for now. When they do get the final stuff ready, I'll bring it back onto the site and with the new pictures and such. Let me know if you can hear me all right. I'm kind of mumbling. It's funny, I'm surrounded by Koto players where I live, Rachel. All the Shami action appears to be in Melbourne at the moment. Interesting. Florida was the same way. Mike and I got back from Orlando on Monday, and there in Miami and such, there's no Shamisen group whatsoever, but a lot of Koto players apparently. Curious how that is. Well, that just shows that there's opportunity ripe for us to get some stuff going, if you know what I mean. We need to get those pins that say "Ask me about Shamisen." Oh, I'm afraid I wouldn't even wear that. How many Shamisen do I have? Quite a few. A lot. But I got them like eBay and for student models, eBay, Yahoo auctions, for just $20 or so. Of course, broken skin, broken everything, and just glue it back together, put new heads on, and such, just for students. Yeah. So it's the hard part though, is I got them all for my Shamisen class, but people eventually they buy their own Shamisen, or they're too afraid of breaking the ones I repaired, so give them back, which means I'm up to my ears in Shamisen. Lucas, any plans on ShamiCamp and on Europe, Scandinavia maybe? Yes, there is tentative plans. Well, we did one in Berlin, right? Okay, we did one in Berlin last year. My friend Grant in Sweden wants to get another ShamiCamp going, so I don't know when. Next year, within the next 2 years, we'll definitely have a ShamiCamp planned for Sweden or Europe, basically. And 2019, in Czech Republic, there's the International the International Shakuhachi Festival, which actually some Nobuta-san, some different really high-level shamisen players have actually done kind of master-level workshops there at the recent camp, at the recent festival. But the guy who runs the International Shakuhachi Festival recently contacted and wanted to do, is interested in doing a collaboration, like ShamiCamp and the International Shakuhachi Festival at the same time. So possibly, long story short, too late, 2019 at least, if that actually gets off the ground, if that works, 2019 we'll have one in Ukraine. Czech Republic, the Czech Republic. I get confused. And possibly Sweden. We'll see. But that will be happening. That brings us to the next point. So ShamiCamp went very well in Tokyo, and not only did it go well, the instruction and material, the practical aspect of the workshop, that went great. Also, the financial aspect went very well because Nita-san and the crew there, they were able to get a grant, a decent amount of money that could pay for flights, a little bit for our instruction, but basically nobody lost money this time, which was not the case for Berlin and California, because I wasn't able to get a grant for those. Yeah, so that was sad times. But so finally having a financial success, i.e. not losing money, really brought to light the importance, the necessity for grant funding, which also brings to light that it's probably time for Bachido to become an NPO, a nonprofit, because as a business, as not as a for-profit business, as it were, it's impossible. It's really, really difficult to get. Wow, 16 people are watching it, and we're not even playing. Anywho, what was I talking about? Yeah. For-profit business, it's not easy to get donations or grant funding or anything like that. And nonprofit, like the local Japan Culture Fair, taiko groups, whatnot, they're all nonprofits. And they've been suggesting, or they've been saying, for this kind of business, for this kind of activity, spreading culture, Japanese culture or instruments or whatnot, just how important it is, how much easier it is when you're a nonprofit in terms of getting grant funding and such. So you can make a camp, maybe if only 5 people or 10 people come, you're not going to lose anything, which is the case. It was always so stressful with the previous camps, feeling needing to get as many people as possible just to break even, which never could happen. So yeah. That's going to be my current project, I think, of 2018, is turning Bachido into a nonprofit. The four kind of roles is, one, a grant writer, which I'm asking Mike to do. The job is just writing grant after grant to get funding to have kind of camps like this or such Shamisen meetups or whatnot. Event planner, to kind of make that easier. In terms of contacting venues and kind of arranging these things. Basically, if we're going to have more camps, I need to have some more, a bigger team, because it takes so much time just to arrange one event. That reduces time to be with you guys here, or to do other stuff, teaching. Anywho, let's see. Yes, thank you. Carl, so shop getting renamed and kept separate from Bachido? That's a great question. So the first step, of course, is talking to a lawyer, a nonprofit lawyer and such, and just see what the dealio is on that. Do I keep it separate, or is it a conflict of interest to have a store thing on the kind of the same avenue or whatnot as the nonprofit side? We'll see how that goes, but we'll figure it out. It'll all be good. Joel, my taiko is nonprofit. Makes a lot of sense for you in Bachido. Yeah. I think so. The San Jose Taiko, they're very inspirational because they have they have employees, the kind of event planner, not a grant writer and such, just like a team of 3 or 4, and they're building their own. From what I heard, their own San Jose Taiko concert hall or such, huge thing like that. So that's a huge success, I think. Inspiring that nonprofit doesn't mean not having prof. I mean, you can do great things with nonprofit, yeah, and possibly make some money. If I can make a minimum wage, only speaking for myself, that would be pretty awesome, or a huge step up from now, but that's beside the point. The main point is being able to do more in-person events, because doing everything online is fun and good and important, and that'll never change. But definitely, for me, the most fun it really is these in-person community building things. So if grant if getting funding and donations can make that much more possible, then that'll take Bachido to the future, I think. Let's see. I go to UVU UCAS division. If you advertise enough, it could work great here. I wonder. Well, again, yeah, with Kanako Ford, who has a Koto group there. I wonder if she advertises there for her Shamisen things. Carl, were you happy with the amount of attendees at the Tokyo camp? I looked at the pictures and felt a little bad that I wasn't there, because there are so many teachers that wants pay. Ironically, actually, the first Tokyo... Oh, you mean this Tokyo camp or the first one? Oh, this first one. Yeah, basically. Every camp has had an average of 15 people, let's say. Of course, some people just come to one. Maybe if some people just come to one day or both days or whatever. But let's say an average of 15 to 16 people come. That's over 4 camps. Was about that, I think. So it's, yeah, I'm happy with that. In fact, any more than that gets, all the noise and just more people to deal with. That's definitely I think, a nice number of attendees. And of course, definitely not enough to, have it without grant funding, unless we increase the ticket price, and don't want to do that. Yeah, nonprofits pay their workers. They just don't look to make the most money possible. Yeah. Oh, that's good. Yeah, don't show up in a Tesla. Pretty much, my group sells merch, and other nonprofit groups sell items, so not to conflict. I see. Yeah, for sure. And I was just thinking about something. Nuts! I lost my train of thought. I don't know if there's a Koto group in UVU, but there might be. Kanako Ford. Google that. Kanako Ford. Google that name and see if there's and Koto, of course, and see what pops up, because there should be something. See, I had a point. Right. I was talking with Mike Penny about that recently, because he works at Japan Foundation and is in charge of the division that approves grants and sends out the grants or whatnot. And he said, of course, there are grants that exclude administrative costs, like salaries or whatnot. And I guess that's the point of fundraisers, maybe fundraisers and sales and whatnot. Fundraisers, sales, donations. I guess like those could be used for paying salaries, and then the grant funding is for the actual event. Contracting people and such, I think. But I haven't looked into any of that, but that seems rational. Joshua, not necessarily, but you'll need to give disclaimers as to it being fundraising for your nonprofit, and place excess funds into petty cash funds, miscellaneous and emergency repair, etc. Interesting. It looks like most grants are project focused, at least from what we've looked into. Yeah, I think so. I might even have to, I'll definitely talk to a lawyer and an accountant, for sure. That's one thing in this team, is having a full, a professional accountant being in charge of like the financial part. I do my best here with Bachido, but or Bachido in its current state, but where you need to get every cent, down, catalog every cent for what it is and such. That's out of my abilities. Plane tickets are a major part. Yeah, right. Especially first class. Ooh, and the gold flake champagne. Yeah, plane tickets is the main part, and the instructor fees, which is why, like, I guess bringing Reigen, Tenten, Nita-san, Masahiro, Kevin, Mike, whatnot, that would be kind of like contract out, not within the organization. So I guess that would be part of the project focus, I guess. Definitely in the beginning, talk with the lawyers, see how those kind of things can go. Accountant, have him on staff, kind of. Can't fool around. It's easier to fool around or just kind of experiment with things. As the kind of sole proprietor, just try things out, see what happens, and pay your taxes, of course, but fooling around with other people's money, gotta be careful. It's already 1:30. Let's see. Carl, what was the best memory from the camp in Japan and this year in general? Japan this year in general, I will write you privately about that. The best memory from the camp. There were several. One, mainly the games that we played. This time, in the previous camps, I was feeling, if people are paying $100 or so per day, I want to make sure they have their money's worth. So, just crammed in from 11 to 6, 7, whatever. Just instruction, hands-on instruction, which, by my memory, just people got so tired, wiped out at the end of 3 days, if it was a 3-day camp. This time was different, where at the end of the day, we arranged games. Like the camp first day was one person does the right hand, the bachi hand such, and then the other one does the left hand. That was a lot of fun. Rachel, of course, remembers that, the games. And the next day, Kevin did a seminar. Then we did kind of seminar things where people put their shamisen down and listened, which usually I'm not a fan of, just listening. But in this case, it actually was a nice way to rest, but still get knowledge, as it were. My partner Yanaka-san did a seminar, a 30-minute or so seminar about skinning. He brought different kinds of skins, talked about how to stretch them, and the news about that. Then Kevin did a seminar on composition, and I really appreciated his approach. What he said was, a lot of people approach improvising as learning like maybe 6 licks and practicing, and then improvising around them, if my memory is correct. Said something like that. But how he described it was the approach he wanted to teach it with is based on his daughter, who's learning to speak. And, she's kind of going blah, 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 and saying words like pine-papple instead of pineapple. Pine-papple. And from, as adults, we enjoy hearing that because it's cute and it's seeing their learning process. And then most parents won't say that's not the way you say it, it's this. No, we'll kind of say it with them, pine-papple. Or my brother would say hockey-doo for helicopter. And basically we should approach that the same way with shamisen, or with improvising, composition. It just... and how he demonstrated was, finally can use from Scott Brown some 3D printed coma. I haven't gotten around to this yet, but I will be doing that soon. So just for an example, how he demonstrated was just going your example is just going. Things that might sound silly, but eventually, but that's kind of the frame of mind to be in, of just doing anything. Don't think of any rhyme or don't think of any reason. Just as a kid does, just go blah 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 on the shamisen, and eventually, that's the mind you need to be in. And when you really encapsulate, when you really internalize that as not almost nothing to do with music, or not wrong, right, or whatever, just your flow, you then really get into true improvisation, which is just the flow from here to here. And that was kind of a drill. Oh, that was just example, but then you tie that into whatever melodic combinations you like, something that would be tasteful, quote unquote. Tasteful is relative, but you know what I mean. Not meaning that we all go but we want to be in that frame of mind. So he started with that, and then went into composition through rhythm, and we got into groups of 3. Rachel, Reagan, and I. We went into that was fun. That was a lot of fun. Rachel, Reagan, and I, we got into a group, and then other people got into groups of 3. We started the composition with by just arranging the rhythm, like doom cha, cha cha, or whatnot, of what notes would be played. After that was made, then we put in the actual notes. Of course, because Reagan was there, our song was it bossa nova-ish, or it was some kind of Latin sort of thing, of course. But everyone did a really great job, with only just 30 minutes to work as a group and such. I was impressed with everybody. That was my most favorite part of the camp, for sure. Yeah, okay. That's the camp. That's the goals for the ShamiCamp. Thank you all for your thoughts about that. I'll probably talk more about that in the future, in these live things, just kind of the status on that. Yeah, this is going to be good. I'm feeling good about this. My main worry is about the team building. Because on one hand I see San Jose Taiko, a huge success, and success, yeah, a stable group. And on the other hand, there is another Taiko group I know, I've heard of that. Eventually they fired their grant writer, planner, and such because they were just incompetent. So the leaders just doing that all themselves. And they're both the same kind of the same kind of group. So I'm just wondering, I don't know many people, professionals in that world, event planning, accountants or whatnot. So, is it going to be a crapshoot or luck of the draw about getting, a lemon, or getting a dweeb or an actual competent person? Also, oh wait, Johnny. Yeah, we should have another Shamisen Live. Yeah, we will have another Shamisen Live next week. I'm not going anywhere for a long time, unless anything changes. So we should get back to a regular schedule. Write me some stuff that you guys want to learn, or such, lesson topics. Regrets. That email you asked me to send, just sent it. Yay! Thank you. Fingers crossed. Yeah, no plans at all. No travel plans until February, actually, but that's just for a week. Kyle, opinions on magnetic piezo shamisen for my second build after I get your book. That is, I ordered. Thank you for ordering. Oh yeah, that's a good subject. Reagan, he's been fooling around with different ways of putting pickups on a shamisen. 2 years ago, he put it on the underside, I think, or no, he put it here. He put it somewhere, and then glued a piece of wood on the skin to reduce vibrations, ways to kind of cut out howling, and it got very intricate with like putting metal around different areas. Really complicated stuff. Now, though, his favorite electric shamisen has two features. One, he puts the piezo mic thing under the koma, and he says that the difference is if the mic is on the skin itself, like if the koma is here, the mic is here, the sound is like bo, but if it goes under, bo, it becomes much more louder, powerful, pronounced, and apparently it's seemingly that's the way to go, and it's very simple. And also he has a smaller dough, or thinner dough, like maybe 3/4 thickness, and a smaller, thinner body reduces the howling, it seems. So that's that. Oh yeah. Yeah, this is. I'm looking forward to you listening to that, Rachel. This is not your average, ordinary old Christmas album for sure. That's actually kind of why I think Frosty came out so well, is because I'm not a big fan of Christmas carols either. Nothing wrong with them, but I heard them too much when I was younger. So it was supposed to be just kind of jokes doing it, but having that kind of light air opened up doors for creative arrangements. So it actually turned out really cool. Hey, Katanorama, long time no see. Oh, yeah, I'll have to ask Josh about that. Let me make a note. I will send Josh a message. I'll send Josh a message about that. Kyle, let's see, Josh, international. Okay. Hopefully we'll get that changed now. Oh yeah. Maybe I'll teach people one of them, God Rest You Merry Gentlemen, or Jingle Bells, or something. The shamisen arrangement, which is more intense. I guess I'll make an exception when it comes to Bachi, but going lighter Christmas presents is totally the wrong way to go. Right. Okay, so that's not why we all called, but I'm glad we all talked about that. An update on everything. Next subject for today. Alex M. in Iceland wrote me while I was in Japan, and I think this shows what a small world it is. He's doing his thesis, or his college thingy, about shamisen, and he is friends with a student who used to live in Santa Cruz, whose father was friends with my mom's best friend in middle school. And he wrote me and had a bunch of questions about the sustainability, manufacturing of shamisen, learning, mechanization, traditional versus contemporary, and wanted me to answer them. And he suggested answering them on Shamisen Live, so we can all learn something, possibly. And let's just see. It's 1:46, so 15 minutes. I think we can we'll get through this all. Hello, everybody. Hello, Alex. Okay. I'm writing my thesis about the future of shamisen, so most of my questions are going to be about sustainability, access to materials, resources, mechanization, and traditional versus contemporary. So let's have some. That's what I say. Manufacturing sustainability. Bullet dot point. As Shamisens traditionally used materials have in large parts been added to the CITES list of endangered species, wood, ivory, tortoiseshell, and some considered unethical in many parts of the world without being in danger. Dog, cat skin. Question. Do you think changes in the Shamisen's manufacturing materials is necessary for the continuation sustainability of the Shamisen? Yes, absolutely. I think we all agree with that. Of course, there are the people who will say, no, it has to be koki, no, it has to be tortoiseshell, it has to be ivory. But one way of thinking is that tortoiseshell and ivory, those were the plastics, the traditional plastics, as it were. But nowadays, with new technology, acrylic bachi and whatnot, you can, and even better than that, faux bachi or whatever, you can get flexible materials that's just as good as those, without endangering, without killing any tortoises or whatnot. And woods, that's mostly just the marketing. I mean, cutting wood is what they had available there. Then they went to India and using the kolki wood. But that's just really due to marketing, why it's so popular, being promoted as like the best wood for shamisen. And what I have heard from makers is like they, in terms of actually building with the wood, like it has just the right amount of oil, amount of hardness and whatnot to make the building of shamisen very easy, I guess, or very, very, very nice, as it were. But that said, that's just all aesthetic sort of things, but nothing to do with the actual sound. I mean, it doesn't. A shamisen, from what I was told by a master level maker, a shamisen is just 3 strings and wood. Like there's nothing. If you use maple wood, that doesn't make it any less of a shamisen than if it's koki wood. And one thing that I'm a little I was a little frustrated about in Japan. Here's a story: is that this shamisen has all the metal inside and all these snazzy tricks, fancy wood, snake wood, sapeli, bubinga, whatnot. And Reagan had his shamisen, a new one that's just regular ebony and maple wood, just hard rock maple, nothing special. And it sounds so good. It sounds even better. It's very resonant, very warm, round sound, sharp too. I mean, it has everything you'd want in a shamisen. And, spent so much time with these little. It was a good experiment, but in any case, that's. I think I answered that pretty well. Good job, Kyle. If so, what kind of changes do you consider necessary for the instrument to survive in another 100 years? So nowadays, it's only the people who, let's say, senior or older generation, who really abide by this. Kolki is the best. It has to be cat skin or dog skin or nothing else. But nowadays, the younger generation, people in college or whatnot, they just want to play shamisen. They don't care about the skin. In fact, many want to start, but they like their dogs, their pets, and they don't want to play with that kind of natural skin in Japan. They don't care about kolki or whatnot. They just want to play a good instrument, a good shamisen. So, basically, all of it's already changing. Basically, using maple wood, using other kind of materials, and it's just going to continue to do so. I do believe. What kind of requirements? Oh, let me do a little check. I'm sure I'm sure Reagan will bring his. This is the Nobezal. It's a little harder to transport. Okay. What kind of requirements would the substitutes have to fulfill to be considered a viable option? For example, the wood in the neck has to be able to stay straight and hard enough to not warp from pressure of fingernails. Could it also be that the substitutes have to give the produced sound the same timbre, etc.? it's not really that difficult, to make a good sounding shamisen, I think. And the tone, I think the tone is improving, not thinking of the shamisen in its current aesthetic form, but just, broadening it out to get the most, get more resonance or whatnot, by taking, examples from guitar or other instruments, like, a softer body, a softer bass on the neck, and a harder fingerboard. And those you can use for, it's all much more practical, like pegs, the hardness, using ebony or bloodwood or even maple, using anything that's hard enough that won't crack, when you turn, that's that. The sound mechanics of having a soft bass with a hard top, that's that. And there's so many woods to choose from that are plentiful. But so much is in the paradigm that they're looking for kind of endangered or precious woods, which to make the shamisen more expensive, more valuable, and whatnot. But that's not going in the right direction, I don't think. This isn't with everybody, but this is with a lot of makers and such that I found. Same with bachi. Just finding material, plastic, acrylic, or kind of plastic, whatever, that has the kind of flex and stuff that you want. Reagan is using acrylic bachi, and it doesn't have the sharpness that Bekko bachi has, especially for Ichinoito, but he rocks it and it sounds really good, and those things will change as plastics get better, I think. What parts of the instruments have yet to find a viable substitute for the traditionally used materials? For example, I imagine finding something to substitute for the large amount of hardwood in the neck would be difficult without the fundamental changes to the instrument, like adding a truss rod. I just answered that already. The rod, actually, that I put in, it kind of darkened the tone. The rod isn't necessary at all for, keeping the neck straight, because the string tension is so low. Without a rod, it's just fine. I tried it in terms to kind of increase the sustain, but it just really darkened the tone. I'm not a huge fan of it, and it's so heavy. Damn. So in terms of woods, the ebony and maple is, as I heard in Japan, was incredible. It sounded really good. So that right there, that's already taken care of in terms of viable substitutes. Bachi, the acrylic is really nice, like 90% of the way there. If a better plastic was made or something kind of was used to, like the full Bekko bachi, to kind of give that certain level of sharpness when it's struck, especially on the Ichinoito. I'm not sure how that's done, but something needs to be done. There's definitely difference from the full Bekko bachi to the acrylic bachi. The material that gets that hardness, that hard tone for the thwack. I'm not sure what the... Okay, learning, access, next subject. 5 minutes. That'll go over time. Learning, access to resources and materials. From an outside of Japan beginner's perspective, assuming they don't know of your website, what are some of the hurdles they have to overcome so they can learn the shamisen? Acquiring an instrument, guidance, etc. I know some of the hurdles myself, but it's always good to ask a specialist. That depends if you're aiming to study a specific style or aesthetic style. In the beginning, I just started just copying. I was already doing shakuhachi and such, so just copying the shakuhachi part. Holding the bachi just like this, not with the pinky, and a building skill. So I think it's practically, it's just fine. You can do just fine learning shamisen by yourself without any instruction, if you're not pursuing a specific style. If you're wanting to pursue nagute or tsugaru or whatever, then that would be a hindrance. Acquiring an instrument if they don't know the site. Now of course they just have to Google Shamisen, and the sales page is the first one to come up. So, yeah, of course, those were the first two. Acquiring a shamisen if you're not looking online. Playing shamisen if you're wanting a specific style, but if you just pick it up and just play to have fun, just being patient with yourself, giving it time, you can do just fine. But that's more of an internal matter, like your own expectations or such. What options are available to outside of Japan beginners to start and continue learning the shamisen? Yeah? Oh. What was this? Oh, yeah. What options are available to... Hi. Are you doing...
Huh?
Are you doing
lesson?
Yeah.
Oh.
What are you
I
doing?
looked for it. I couldn't find it.
What are you doing?
Do you want this in your...
No. Oh, sure. What the hell? Put that down there. Mother? Okay. That's good.
Let's see.
Yeah, that's good.
There we go.
There we go. Thank you. What are you doing?
Just getting ready for the jam.
Oh. Okay. Let's see. What options are available to outside of Japan beginners? Is the jam at 5 though? No, but okay. Okay. What options are available to outside of Japan beginners to start and continue learning the shamisen? The best question to plug your website, but if you can think of anything for those that want to specialize in other genres of shamisen, like kabuki and techniques, that would be great. Then I would be grateful. Good question. Well, yeah, Shamisen, Bachido for sure. It's a place to go for outside of Japan beginners, and even in Japan beginners, if you don't want to learn from the Iemoto thing. No, Carl, my shirt, I guess, is not flowery enough. No colors. Currently, actually, I don't know. There might be stuff for kabuki and naguta things. I don't think so, though. Maybe. As far as I know, there's nothing else really to the same level as Bachido. But maybe there's some YouTube videos or whatnot. Yeah, I don't know. But a Google search will find. I don't know anything beyond just a regular Google search. In that case, without considering the learner's Japanese ability, comparing to the piano or other instrument with a great quantity of detailed sheet music, how does the shamisen sheet music compare? Are all the songs playable without ever having heard the song, etc.? It's probably the same, I'm guessing. The naguta, due to shamisen, theirs are very detailed. It's all vertical. It's very detailed with the techniques. I haven't looked in too much, but I assume that the classical styles, naguta and whatever, are more detailed in those kind of things, picking up the nuances. Tsugaru shamisen, because it's using more tablature, the tablature doesn't really account for the nuances like the Tsugaru groove or the dun 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 dun, those kind of timing things. So in that case, it would be best to have heard the song first, but you can get maybe 80-90% of it just by listening to it. I mean, just by reading it. There's this girl you should meet, Kyle, by the way. She's called Poison Ivy. She'd like you. Unfortunately, she's not real. Well, that's dodged a bullet there, I guess. Okay. Okay, next. Are the Shamisen's sheet music standardized across all genres? I learned a bit in the school of Tokiwazu. The sheet music was nothing like anything I've come across since, so I am wondering, for someone who has specialized in one genre, if he can for certain read sheet music of another genre. I don't know. I've only really seen just for Naguten and Yuta, but never beyond the surface. Like, whoa, that's hard, and kind of deciding to learn it by ear, sort of thing. So, yeah, I'm not really sure about that. David Hughes, you might want to contact in England. He's above and beyond the like the patron saint, is that the right word, of these traditional styles of shamisen. In fact, I think recently he got some huge award, like the Golden Phoenix or the Golden Crane, the Golden such and such from Japan, whatever thingy, recently, in kind of observing his notable contributions to Minyo and the traditional styles of shamisen. So that's the person, definitely, for these kind of questions, because I've only really focused on Tsugaru, really. Okay, next. Let's see. Okay. Oh, gosh. Fun questions. Joshua Molina. Reagan sounds cool. Kyle I'll Serif. I can connect with him. Could you forward my list of possible substitutes to him? Ask him. Oh, Google, just Facebook, this name, Reagan Fuji. Check that out on Facebook, because he speaks English very well, and is very interested in that kind of construction and such. So I'm sure he'd reply to you. Tell him I said hi. Jose, hey Kyle, what about a new Bachido group to go to the future Hirosaki Taikai competition? That's a great question. I forgot to address that. Long story short, Kevin and I were talking, and Grant too, and we were all kind of ready to go back, because it's been a long time since we competed in the individual stuff or the team or whatnot. I just thought it'd be just kind of fun. We don't really care about the the winning or the such anymore, but just for the hell of it, So we were kind of thinking maybe 2019 that we'll go back to Hirosaki. So yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's talk about it like 6 months or so, because I don't want to think about traveling for a while. Joshua, where do you get Gyuta Naguten and Tsugaru sheet music? Gosh, I don't know. Amazon. Check Amazon. I'm sure there might be some. I have Tsugaru sheet music in the book, 16 pieces with that kind of tablature, but for Naguten and Gyuta, that's different. Sometimes I drive on the other side of the road and yell while I'm in England. That's good. Carl. Hey, definitely we're not going to do Kitan Hibiki. Not because it's not a wonderful song, but hey, if this is just going to be a handful of people like Mike, Kevin, Grant, Jose, Johnny Peets, you possibly, then we'll want to definitely compose something new. In fact, it won't even. Most likely, it'll disqualify us anyway, because with Mike and Kevin there, and all of us there, we want to do non kind of tsugaru kind of stuff. And if we get disqualified, who cares? It'll be the fun. Of it. But yeah, we'll definitely, when we decide to fully decide, let's say 6 months from now, we'll definitely do that. Write our own song. Okay, I don't know how much knowledge you have on traditional training of shamisen in Japan, the master-disciple relationship, Iamoto, and stuff like that. So if you choose to skip this question, that's okay. Within Japan, what is the traditional way to master the shamisen, and what do you have to consider its benefits or detriments? Read that the traditional way is quite expensive for the student, like paying to perform, can't pursue objectives in other genres, like playing for a rock band, etc. Maybe before, this modern internet-connected age, the benefit was it provides, that social connection. You're at the hierarchy, and people love a good hierarchy. People love that sensei or guru or whatever kind of relationship, and money, that's how they survive, and you're paying for that relationship. Prostitution? No, I didn't just say that. And that's not true either. I haven't had coffee. But besides that, the detriment nowadays is, it's understandable for when it was needed. Now, paying to perform, when you have other instruments, that's more about just the fun of it, or enjoying just the more musical aspect than we're living in a different age now. I don't think that paying to encourage to play this instrument, you have to level up, and to level up you have to pay me, and you can't do anything that I'm not showing you, and you have to pay to do this, you have to pay to do this. That doesn't work these days, and if it were to continue, that's why, if it were to continue only in that way, it would die even sooner, I think. But yeah. Oh, Johnny, you've been leveling up. I've sent you a PayPal bill. Joking. Okay, mechanization. As the shamisen can be considered a delicate instrument compared to the others, unreliable tuning, string and skin breakage, chipped bachis, etc. Do you think the shamisen will undergo any changes to make it a more stable instrument? That's a good question. In certain things, for example, pegs, if it's right, I don't know, shamisen is both delicate and very sturdy at the same time. Certain things, for example, this curve of the neck is very prone to chipping, so if you were just to make this straight or cut off, then that would solve that right there. When you get used to it, I find the pegs very easy. Unlike a guitar, if you're changing the string, you have to wind, or use the winder to get it up. This, you just do a couple big turns, and it's already at tension. And when the strings have fully stretched, I find they hold their tuning very well, even better than a banjo. So unless I'm changing tunings a lot, considerably going down, up, it rarely needs to be fine-tuned, I find, with the two nylon strings and the silk string. Bachi, that I'm sure bachi will undergo changes as plastic materials get better. Skin, the skin has been constantly changing. Recently, this is the ripple skin, but 2 or 3 other new kind of ripple-like skins have come to the market, or are being tested. So, yeah, the most sensitive parts is probably this skin and the bachi, and those are being changed. A more reliable option instead of nail, wooden nail. That's hot, new thing. a user-friendly option to change skin. Talking with Kiju, he was saying, he's wanting to make a shamisen that has like a banjo or like a drum, where you have the hooks to tighten it and then change the tension. Only thing now is, the only difficulty is having hoop exactly that shape and having that wire and the hooks dig into your hip, dig into your thigh or your leg as you're playing. But if there's some cover that could somehow kind of cover the hooks, that would be cool. Anyway, there are people in Japan who are thinking about that and seeing if it can work. Okay. As the shamisen has been traditionally made by hand, has the process of making it become mechanized? Is there anything that stands in the way of fully mechanizing the process? Standing in the way of fully mechanizing the process. As far as I know, shamisen is still largely made by hand. I'm wondering what stands in the way of fully mechanizing the process, whether it's just the tradition or something I can't think of since I don't have the experience of making one. These days, mostly the documentaries you see online of someone making the Hosuzao shamisen or such, they are in the small workshop, cutting with saws and all hand stuff. However, like Tokyo Agaki, they're using real industrial tools, like to get these joints completely flat, so it's like seamless. They have like a giant, heavy chisel-like instrument that just scrapes it completely flat. Of course, there is a lot of master level fine work that goes into getting the joints just right. It's not like they're using these power tools and then anyone can do it. But to get this level of quality, though it can be done by hand, even the master level craftsmen, they're using a decent amount of power tools, belt sanders, lathes, drill presses, and whatnot. Yeah, no reason not to. I mean, it's the Zen experience when you're doing it by hand. But of course, you can have a Zen experience no matter what. Maybe not. Oh, and Ayasugi nowadays, like nobody, Norm Nakamura. Different topic. Ayasugi, that herringbone pattern inside. Nobody, I heard nobody does that by hand anymore. Maybe some master, somewhere in the woods, if you know what I mean. But most makers, it's all done by machine. Even Tokyo Agaki, it's a 3-axis. It's XYZ axis CNC machine that turns the dough board 3 ways and it cuts. So yeah, it's all being done mechanizing now, most all of it. Still needing someone's skill. Oh, Brian Chan, of course. In terms of fully automating, he did the CNC saw, where he made the saw into two halves, glued them together, but using a CNC machine to cut out the main part. Even that required handwork of smoothing and whatnot. That's enough information there. In your opinion, what would mechanization of shamisen making have any benefit for the shamisen player? Oh, sorry. In your opinion, would the mechanization of shamisen making have any benefits for the shamisen player? It's subjective, but buying a shamisen can be a big investment compared to buying a guitar in the same quality standard for beginner. Well, again, the shamisen making is quite mechanized now. Am I hitting the microphone? Oh, sorry. Oh, good night, Lucas. Most of it's mechanized now. What increases the price is supply and demand. Supply and demand, the retailers add on profit, and most retailers in Japan add on a lot of profit because they're only selling shamisen. I think in the future, shamisen will have to be sold alongside guitars, violins, banjos, whatnot, so that the retailer can have different ways of making money. But if they're only stocking shamisen, they'll only sell a couple a year. That's going to be really hard to to deal with that. Next. Traditional versus contemporary. Final row. As the shamisen is considered a traditional instrument, I'm wondering about its place in contemporary music. Considering over all genres of shamisen music, would you consider the main aim of the shamisen community to be preservation or innovation? It's a difficult question to put into words. I'm wondering if it's like opera, where performance of the old masterpieces can be considered of more valuable than performance of a new opera, while in pop music, what's new is usually of more value. I think both have their roles, definitely. I heard lay off the epically good jokes. Yes. I Alash, the throat tube and throat singing group. They came to Santa Cruz last year, and they said something very interesting, which is they called what they do a living tradition, because they are doing the traditional art of throat singing, but the songs they're playing are new compositions and such. And they were commenting how that's important for keeping the art alive, and it should flow, because times are changing, so the meaning of songs, there's nothing wrong with the meanings of songs to change to fit in with the time, because traditional music of the past was the pop music, or was the modern music of the past, as it were. So it is good to have a living tradition, have shamisen used in popular music, modern music, so then more people will appreciate the shamisen for what it is as an instrument. And likewise, just as much, it's important for others who want to preserve the traditional, preserve the past, so we don't forget the past, and we keep that alive, and don't forget the roots. So I think hand in hand, if both people can work together, both groups, respecting the other person's value in the future and shamisen itself, that can go quite well. So I think, both are important, I think. Are there any genres of shamisen music that you would consider to be more innovative than others? Genres that focus more on preservation? Actually, all of them. Even Tsugaru, micromanagement. Even Tsugaru is somewhat is being focused on preservation now. People will say, the whole mindset is like, don't copy. Even a monkey can copy. Make your own shamisen. Play your own shamisen, your own jongara, your own Tsugaru shamisen. But even now, there are the Tsugaru shamisen schools that have kind of that Iamoto system, paying the instructor, or paying for your rank and whatnot. And who don't like to see Kevin play classical or whatever. So that's not Tsugaru shamisen. Which is true, you could say. Tsugaru shamisen is 1850s to 1950s, or 1800s to 1950s, or something like that. And shamisen now that it's more combined with world music, more world music and such, it is kind of it's already branched into a new genre of itself. We don't have a name for it yet, but definitely separate from Tsugaru, I think. So, now, even Tsugaru, they're all somewhat based on preservation. Probably. That's just my opinion. Do you think the shamisen has the possibility of becoming an internationally popular instrument? Does it have any aspects that would make it feasible or unfeasible as one of the core instruments of contemporary music. Carl Hedlund has some points on this, I'm sure. Definitely it has room to be contemporary, to work in contemporary music. And Reagan Fuji, he's a good example of how shamisen can tastefully be added into progressive jazz, and whatnot. One difficulty is the bachi, in terms of, like, if it's a flat pick going this way, you can easily go do cross picking, or hit the strings this way, or hit multiple strings, don't dun 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 dun, or whatnot. Whereas this, after you strike one string, you want to up pick, to go up on the middle string, but then you have to cross over one and pick up. So bachi mobility, that's the only, that's the main problem with it. Not problem, but it's the main aspect that makes it unfeasible, but not really unfeasible. That's just its quirk. We find ways to work around it. Okay. The electric piano, this is following this. The electric piano is, for example, used in everything while recording contemporary music, since it's so versatile and you can use it to imitate most other instruments. It is unfair to compare shamisen to the piano. I'm just wondering what limits its use in contemporary music, and if it has any aspects that could be of use to, for example, someone that's not going for Japanese sound, Taylor Swift, while recording her songs. Oh, that's a good point. It's just like guitar. Piano can't sound like a guitar. Unless you're... guitar can do things piano can't. Piano can do things guitar can't. Shamisen can do things that neither piano or guitar can do, and vice versa. So, yeah, they're all different. I wouldn't say one's more feasible or less feasible. Just kind of whatever tone you're looking for, I guess. Would you consider that shamisen is becoming more popular or less popular in contemporary music? Probably difficult to answer, since I can't really give you any point in time to compare to. Probably less popular if compared to before the Meiji Restoration, but might be more popular compared to when you started playing. I'm wondering what's happening in the shamisen scene today, and if the shamisen is getting more exposure than before. Definitely getting more exposure than before. There's many groups like Thank You Scientist in New York. They're progressive... What are they? Progressive jazz rock metal sort of group, and one of the guitarists who plays a fretless guitar also plays shamisen in the group. The group Kevin was in, A Stratosphere, it's kind of a similar vein, progressive metal, rock, jazz, whatever. He did shamisen there. A guy in Florida I heard was adding shamisen to his jazz group. Basically, now that people can acquire a shamisen and learn some, and they play other musics, they're free to bring it in. So having that freedom, it's definitely getting more exposure than before. And I think just more, it's not getting less so. It's slowly but surely growing, and I think it'll just keep growing, I think. Oh, okay, that was it. Those were all the questions. Thank you all. Oh, gosh. Okay, well, thank you all for joining, those of you still here. Well, let's do this again next week, Thursday. Yes. I'm tired. I haven't had coffee yet. Let's see. So, yeah. That's it. Hope you... I think we're all on the same page with... I haven't been watching your... the feed the live chat. But I think for most of this stuff, we're really on the same page, I think. Yeah, I've missed you guys too, for sure. Boy, Japan, it was a lot of fun. A lot of performing and such, but just that month, it really felt like a whole year. Even when I came home, I looked out in the garden and I thought, everything would change. But it's like, oh, the peppers are still there and the kale is still there. Oh, right, it was only 27 days. Before you leave, what was the band name you said? Thank You, Scientist. And then a stratosphere. Stratosphere? Stratosphere. That was the group that Kevin was in. Yeah, feels good to be going back into the routine. Thank you all for coming, and we'll get into some actual playing stuff next week. Again, feel free to write me any questions you have as you've been practicing shamisen, anything you want me to address, lesson-like stuff, or education-wise. I have a list. I have a couple topics that people have presented the past months, and I can always delve into those. But Bachi on the horn. I do have one. Grant and I we recorded a long one. I have to edit it though. And then Mike, we finished. I have to Skype call Mike to create some more material, but we'll get. Maybe within the week or so, we'll get back onto Bachi on the horn as well. Okay. Thank you, everybody. See you all next time. See you on the forum. See you on the old, you know what it is. Everything. Be well. Bachi on. Here's how we turn this off.